Hello folks, welcome to Athens Treasures Live. I'm Stephen Sherlin, your host. Scott Bridwell will be back with us in episode 5, but in this episode 4, it is a special request, and I just, at the spur of the moment, decided to go ahead and do it. So where are we today? Well, you guessed it. If you'll look behind me, you'll see a cemetery. So come with me to the top of this hill, and we'll find out why we're here and what the treasure is. So here we are at the top of the hill in this old cemetery, across the highway from Shoney's, 3 miles from downtown Athens, on Decatur Pike on Highway 30. This is an old family cemetery known as the Lane Cemetery. And who is it that's buried here? The only general of the Civil War known to be buried in Athens, here in the Lane Family Cemetery. General James Tidance Lane. Now, who was James Tidance Lane? He was a well-known and respected farmer who owned a large tract of land in Calhoun, Tennessee. He was very well known for the raising of foals and horses that were coveted and well known throughout both armies of the Civil War. He particularly was known for the horses that Lane's home guard of the 1st Tennessee Cavalry rode during the Civil War. That may very well have been where he got his title of general. Now, there is speculation from those who are local historians and from many in years past doing research on James Lane, that his title of general was honorary and not specifically given by the military. In my own research, I have never found where the Confederacy or the Union bestowed upon James T. Lane the title of general, nor do I find any reference to him as a soldier of the Confederacy or the Union, for that fact, during the Civil War. Now, James T. Lane was a state senator in the state of Tennessee from 1859 to 1863. In the 33rd General Assembly, he was a Democrat senator in the state of Tennessee General Assembly. By the time secession occurred, he was referred to as a senator of the Confederate Party, and he remained so until 1863. Now, here in Athens and McMinn County in general, he was lovingly known as General James T. Lane. He's buried here in this cemetery, and it's kept up by family and also by Sons of the Confederacy and Boy Scout troops as well. Now, during the Civil War, Tennessee was a divided state. If it hadn't been for West Tennessee and Middle Tennessee, Tennessee may well have remained in the Union. But those two sections of Tennessee voted overwhelmingly to secede from the Union, even though East Tennessee voted to remain in the Union. McMinn County itself voted to remain in the Union. But as it would be, McMinn County, Tennessee in general, went with the Confederacy, and so history records. Now, during the time of the Civil War, there were pro-Unionists here in McMinn County, one in particular by the name of William G. Brownlow. Now, he was a pastor of William G. Brownlow. Now, that name brings something to mind. I'll think of it in just a minute. But he was a pastor of the Methodist Episcopal Church down the Cedar Springs Road. It was the Cedar Springs Methodist Episcopal Church. It's still there today. It's known as the Methodist Church now, and not the Methodist Episcopal, as they separated after the Civil War. But during that time, he was a pro-Unionist. He was a hellfire and brimstone preacher and loved to get in the pulpit and expound the Word of God. Every opportunity, he would preach against secession to the McMinn Countyans and those of the Athens area. After secession occurred, he continued being a pro-Unionist and eventually had to flee McMinn County with his wife and many of his children. He fled to Knoxville, which was a Union sympathizing town of that day, and he hid there while speaking in the North. Eventually, he was captured and served some time in a Confederate prison, and then he went on to become governor, the first governor of the state of Tennessee after the Civil War. But because of his shenanigans and his really cruel ways during Reconstruction, he was ousted from the governorship and was succeeded by a McMinn Countyan, DeWitt Center, who went on to reform the bad ways of Reconstruction and bring Tennessee back into the Union in 1870 with a new constitution. But let's get back to Brownlow. That's what he was. He was just a numbskull governor of the day. Anyway, he had a son who remained in McMinn County during the time of the war. Now, we're talking about General Lane, and that's where this is going. The younger Brownlow remained in McMinn County, and he was arrested for possessing and circulating an outlawed book that was downing the South. It was not a well-received book at the time. And the paper in Athens during that day recorded, and it is documented, that General James T. Lane was the one who preferred charges against him. And so we have on record there that General James T. Lane was indeed a general, whether honorary or commissioned or not. Only time and the discovery of more historical documents will tell. But here he lies, the only general of the Civil War buried in McMinn County. Easy for you to find across from the way. If you'll stand in Shoney's parking lot, you'll see it easily with a flag flying over the cemetery. After the Civil War, he went back to his farm, enjoyed a quiet life there, was very profitable on his farm, very well respected in the community. And in August, on the 30th day of August, 1872, General James Tidens Lane passed away. He's buried here in Athens, just 3 miles outside of downtown Athens, here in this cemetery on this little knoll that you can easily come and see, and you can learn more about this treasure of Athens. So until next time, I hope you'll enjoy finding the treasures of Athens.